community favourite exotic during the Dark Below, the Hunter exotic Don't Touch Me gauntlets were by far the best piece of Hunter exotic armour for the pit and Crota's End. It would seem that the Don't Touch Me's were specifically designed for the Crota's End pit in mind, in similar fashion to the Obsidian Mind Warlock exotic helm, which was released alongside the Don't Touch Me's. But obviously, we've come a long way since the Dark Below, and Crota's End isn't the relevant raid anymore. So how do the Don't Touch Me stack up in today's content? As always, let's look at the perks on the Don't Touch Me's. You can reroll the perks with glass needles, but this will only really be for the weapon reloader perk. The Switchblade perk granting faster melee attack speed is always ideal on gauntlets, and the intellect, discipline, strength configuration will ultimately be up to you. But if you want to reroll the Don't Touch Me's, try to go for a weapon reloader that matches your preferred weapon type. Probably the most common choice would be hand cannons, as they typically have the slowest reload speed, but it's your call. Now for the exotic perk. Incoming melee attacks would trigger invisibility for a few seconds, 3 to be exact. These gauntlets are actually subclass neutral, but they were always associated with the Bladedancer, and for good reason. There is a perk that directly affects the duration of the invisibility. But still, they can be used with reasonable effectiveness across all subclasses, so let's analyse the loadouts. Let's start with gunslingers. This subclass will be entirely preference, but I wouldn't recommend it, as there is literally nothing else in this subclass that complements an invisibility build. Not only that, but if you really want to play as a gunslinger and have some means of invisibility, I would recommend going with the KHEPRI'S Sting gauntlets, which I'll cover in a future episode. Gunslinger benefits best when you build around its super, and when there are already exotic helms that do that, go with them. Now Nightstalkers do have some means of invisibility. They can spec for their vanish and smoke grenades, granting them a few seconds of invis for themselves and teammates, and can even extend the duration of invis with lockdown perk. Then to equip Don't Touch Me's on top of that? I don't know, it's not a particularly bad choice, as there aren't too many Nightstalker specific exotics, but I still feel that if you want to go all in with invisibility, then actually go all in with invisibility. That being said, let's look at the Bladedancer, the old school choice for the Don't Touch Me's. You can go crazy with an invis build here, making it so your melee attack, your super, your crouching, and your incoming melee attacks from the Don't Touch Me's all provide you with invisibility. Then you can double down on the duration of the invis with the Shadowjack skill tree perk. If you really want the Don't Touch Me's at their full potential, run Shadowjack on a Bladedancer, as the invis you get from the incoming melee attacks extends from 3 seconds to 6 seconds, ample time to get a revive or disengage an enemy and get into cover. So it would seem that running a Bladedancer would still be the best choice as it was in year 1, but is it really worth speccing for a full invis loadout in today's content? Before we get into situations where it would be useful, I'd make a few minor changes to the skill tree. I think Shadowjack is always fine to have, particularly in PvE, as sliding a bit further and having weapons ready up a bit faster isn't really important. The Escape Artist melee, which cloaks you, and the vanish from your super ability are fine. Instead of using Stalker, which triggers invis after crouching for a few seconds, try using Encore so your super can still be very effective, because without Encore you turn from Bladedancer into Butterknife Dancer. This would be my suggested loadout for most activities with the Don't Touch Me's, but Stalker may be a better choice for an all-out defensive build. Okay, so where would this kind of loadout be worthwhile? I'm not entirely sure. It did definitely work wonders in the pit and Crota's End, but in current content like Heroic Strikes and the Wrath of the Machine raid, it might have some use. In strikes, invis does allow you to more or less ignore segments of the strike, as you can just streamline through, but strikes typically have sections where you must complete objectives before you can proceed, so you'll ultimately have to shoot things to move on. But still, there will be sections where you can proceed through enemies you otherwise would have had to kill, and most daily missions or story missions in general do accommodate for this build, as you can typically just walk to the end of the mission if you so choose. But I know from experience of playing matchmaking Heroic Strikes, I always appreciate teammates that actually help with boss encounters or adds, instead of just cloaking and running away. So unless you're playing with people who are dying faster than humanly possible, and you want to be able to safely revive them, the Don't Touch Me's can be a reasonable choice. There are parts of the Wrath of the Machine raid that work for the Don't Touch Me's, particularly when grabbing the bombs in the Vosik and Access encounters, but for both those fights, you really want to be a Nightstalker for your shadow shot, making the Don't Touch Me's quite underwhelming when you have things like lockdown, vanish and smoke grenades. The siege engine will be alright for Don't Touch Me's, for example while carrying a component and a vandal comes over and slashes you, but if that happened to me, I'd just call for help from my teammates to kill the ads around me. Again, there are modern ways, and arguably better ways, to build a hunter class for the siege engine. The only place I had the most success with the Don't Touch Me's was Crota's End, which would make sense given they came out at the same time. The pit, the Death Singer and the Crota fight itself all strongly accommodate the Don't Touch Me's, particularly given that Thralls are the best triggers for the invis perk. There might have been some utility during King's Fall for Don't Touch Me's. Since the content is completely out-leveled now, there are better things to get the job done quicker. So to round it off, there are very few places to make the Don't Touch Me's an optimal exotic. Long story short, if you really like invis, just go with the KHEPRI'S Sting. I'll have a video for it within a few days. Hope I was able to advise you with some insight into the Don't Touch Me's. If you like this sort of thing, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you later.